How you doing? My name is Floyd. I'm the son of George Floyd, and this is my first time coming out of Minneapolis, but it's really nice, and everybody's out here really nice, and I can see why this is somewhere that he really wanted to be. And I don't have too much to say. I just really want to say thank you all for showing my father so much love, and just showing my family so much love, and all the others who was lost to police killings. And you know, we really appreciate you guys, and really appreciate the love that you show us, and we love your city. Thank you.
I just want to make it very clear as to why I am not in D.C. today. Biden invited the Floyd family to be in his presence, but I was going to D.C. for a purpose. I was going to D.C. for Biden to sign a bill. Biden has not signed that bill. Biden has broke a promise. We need that bill passed.
Because as I stand in the land of 10,000 lakes, I've seen a small ripple turn into a wave, a tsunami, a hurricane of a movement that has since traveled throughout the world. The power that we have is immeasurable, and this movement has made its way to your front door, and we are no longer knocking. We are demanding entrance, and we are not taking no for an answer. Going back is not an option. No justice. No justice. No justice. I am no longer sorry. I am unapologetic. When it comes to my liberation, I am unapologetic. We are unapologetic. Because if George don't get it, if Dante Wright don't get it, if Kobe Heisler don't get it, if Dalal Eid don't get it, if Jamar Clark, Philando Castile, Demetrius Hill, Jefford Smith, Isaac Aiden, Travis Jordan, Cordell Handy, Marcus Golden, Lionel Lewis, Brian Quiones, Hardell Sherrill, Justin Tigan, if they don't get it, if they don't get it.
Oh, I used to believe in their definition of free. I'd go to class in the days gone by while they taught me someone else's history. But when I left for good this time, I found my story right here in this street. And when I came to tell ya that I'd found the truth, they told me that got awful bad news.
Now the first step is to connect our mind, bodies, and souls. With all that together, we're worth more than gold. Stay true to yourself and to the world as a whole. Rip your skin off and expose your soul. Make living your purpose your goal, and realize you are a key. Because we are placed here in the image of pure light. So look deep down inside of your spirit and ignite the creative inspiration of whatever it is you do. Free the love inside and be the best version of you. See, they tried to bury us, but they were unaware that we were seeds. We grew from rocks and hard places, determined to be freed. We collectively agreed to gain strength from pain and hurt. We will thrive because our existence is work. We work to stay on that land which we were birthed by the sun. We work to survive from that land we were taken from. We work to live how others were allowed to live. We work to vote, have proper education for our kids. We worked and are still working today to regain the understanding of our history that's been burned, lost, and locked away. And we must work hard to bring back those that have gone astray, because we work too hard for us to end up this way. We work too hard to have our dreams turn into nightmares. We work too hard to be treated equal and fair. Now we must work. Do only the most powerful work for the future, the children to see. Because it took work to get freedom for you and me. It's going to take generations of work to stay free.
And the Lord told me 11 years ago when they murdered my son's father, that the way they strategically covered up the murder, I knew that they had been doing it and that it was going to be more. So all of the murders that I've seen in between 2009 up until today, I was sitting there watching the news, and there was Jamar Clark, there was Philando Castile, and the Lord said, this is the more that I was telling you about. And then I started to meet Marcus Golden aunt, Cordell Handy mother, Jeffrey Smith mother, and all of these other mothers that no one knew anything about because their murders was swept under the rug just like Justin's. And then George Floyd happened today, a year ago. And the floodgates of heaven open up. And the truth of what's really been going on in the state of Minnesota and around the world was able to see. And the blind eyes that turned their faces and they didn't want to see the truth, didn't have a choice but to see the truth of what's really been going on at the hands of police to black and indigenous people and minority people, but mainly black men. So I want to tell you guys today that my fight is not just for the lives that's been stolen, but it's for every black man that is walking the face of this earth. Because you don't have to be my biological brother. You don't have to be the father to my child. You don't have to be my friend for me to care about your life, to see that you are a black man that's just trying to live. When they demise our black men, when they beat them down, it's way before they kill them. They harass them and they stalk them and they pull them over. They even make them sit on the curb. That's a way to dehumanize them and make them feel less by making them sit on the curb. Well, the women are standing up. The black women are rising up. And we tired of what you're doing to our men. Enough is enough. Enough is enough.
So all of us people, so we suffer a lot of work, but we need to stay together. And when we stay together, that makes us stronger. Say Black Lives Matter 3 times. Black Lives Matter. 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 Thank you.
It was a powerful experience being validated in what I have felt growing up in one of the most racist suburbs in this state, Woodbury, Minnesota, and experiencing 12 years of harassment and bullying that was tolerated by the administration. And as I was speaking at the protest, guess who I saw there? My racist bully. My racist bully was at a protest that we were organizing to combat their behavior. So to all the white people and the non-black people here today, I ask you, are you someone's racist bully? Are you causing the pain of people of color? Are you causing it?
We're out here today on this mic to let y'all know that it is very true that the youth are the future of this revolution, and that it's very important to encourage your youth and talk to your youth, because without our communication with each other, there is no way that this revolution will lead. And we've been doing a lot of work, and we want the community to be a part of that as well, and we're always trying to tell people about what we're doing so more people can join us so the revolution can grow, because there's power in numbers and there's power in the community.
You are the revolution, you are the next generation, and you will lead this movement because we are the next generation. We will be voting soon.
My dad is doing 71 years for a nonviolent crime. My daughter has never seen her grandfather outside of a prison. My brother has never seen his father outside of a prison. My cousins have never seen their uncle outside of a prison. He is doing more time than the average person in this country lives. And I want to make sure that we don't forget that that is a huge part of the destruction of black families and black wealth and black generations. I understand that what he did was against the law, but after 24 years, next weekend will be 24 years. After 24 years in prison, has he not learned his lesson? He missed the birth of his son. He has never seen him outside of prison. He has learned his lesson 10 times over. And if you believe for 1 second that he hasn't, then you're part of the problem here.
George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Daunte Wright, every black person that was killed by this state, they were not martyrs, they were murdered. They were not here to die for your awakening. They were not here so that you could realize that black people are being murdered left and right. They were killed. I do not want to be marching in the street. I don't want to protest. I want them to stop dying.
My son was shot, 6 bullets in his body. And only thing that officer can tell him, you'll be all right. After he laid there on the ground in the hallway in front of my father and my daughter and my aunt, with pointing a gun at my daddy, telling him to go back in the apartment building. There was no cameras. Back then there was beepers. You didn't have cell phones. My son was entering the back apartment building waiting on a cab to go to his girlfriend's house. He shot my son and the bullet went through his shoulder and came out in the front and bounced off the wall, leaving a big old hole in his body and entered right back through his heart and shot him in the abdomen of his body and in his legs. He was trying to kill my son. That's called murder. Do you know they gave that officer a medal? Do you think that officer deserves a medal for killing an 18-year-old boy? No! My brother was trying to investigate. Do you know my brother ended up in the Mississippi River and today is unknown?
Say his name! Daunte Wright, say his name!
Daunte Wright!
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 Thank you, Ms. Marilyn Hill.
Since last year, many of you remember where you were when you watched that video. Many of you remember when you heard about it. Many of you remember all of the things that happened. But I want you to know there's a lot of things that changed from last year. The first and most important thing was the world reacted. Not just Minnesota, the world reacted. The world reacted for the first time in a meaningful way toward rejecting police and state violence against people of color, no matter where they live in this world. That was something that changed fundamentally. But this day last year and the life lost on this street has fundamentally changed who we are. We have changed for the better. When Daunte Wright was killed, it wasn't minutes. People came out to the streets. When Dalal Eid was killed 6 blocks from here, it was minutes people showed up. And for the first time, even the media started to question the narrative of the police because they lie. They've historically lied about what happens to people of color when the police kill them. Hope is not lost, y'all. We are the hopeful people. And there's a young generation right now that's standing amongst us right now, young people. You know, a lot of people forget that Dr. King wasn't that old. He was 27 when he was leading that movement. So if you're a 20-year-old, don't be acting around, looking around for somebody else. That's you we asking for you to stand up. If you're a 30-year-old, you need to be guiding. If you're a 40-year-old, we need your wisdom. And if you've been marching in the 60s, my God, we need to sit down and listen to you. Every single person in this movement matters, and it's time for young people to stand up and demand justice. You're braver than us. You're more savvy than us. And it's time for you to take leadership in this moment. I encourage every single one of you. There is a power in the one person.